shirts online, upload your artwork, or create a design right on our website. In these unique times, you can still make a difference. Fundraise with custom shirts today on bonfire.com.
Maybe it works by stopping odor at the source. Bacteria. Most crotch and butt smell come from bacteria on the skin.
Oh, I didn't play. Oh, I was about to say, what the busy mother trucker, bro?
Keep your privates private.
Accountability. It's a theme that we have reported on a lot, especially since January 6th, and it brings us to misinformation that fuels Trump's election lie and new accountable consequences in the works. Because the maker of many voting machines, you've probably heard of them, Dominion, is now making a new push in court, suing right-wing media outlets like Newsmax, One American News Network, and others for over $1 billion. They allege that they were materially defamed and these networks were spreading deliberate disinformation and profiting off the lies. That is different, of course, than just being confused. Now, the new lawsuits follow legal action already taken against Fox and Giuliani and Trump lawyers. What's Newsmax's defense? Well, among other things, they say that they're just reporting on claims made by public figures. As a matter of journalism, it's not a good argument. Will it work in court, or we'll stay on the story? We'll be right back.
T-Mobile gives you more ways than ever to get out there. We're America's largest 5G network. So get out there. Take the Epic iPhone 12 with 5G with you. Current and new customers can get up to 4 on us. Experience it with our new Magenta Max plan with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. And connect your devices on the go with 40 gigabytes of data in
Welcome everyone.
That's
On
right,
the
unlimited
perfect
premium
night for
data.
football
Your
with the
iPhone 12
floodlights
on
beaming
us.
down.
Get out there
I'm
with
Derek
T-Mobile.
Ray, joined by Lee Dixon in the commentary position. And there's
Oh,
nothing quite like
close
the
my
magic of
window.
a
It's
cup
fucking
competition. Live action coming up for you. It's Genoa,
legally
and they
hot,
face
bruh.
pressure. Well, I do love my league football.
Hotter
When I
than
was a player,
hell.
I look forward to cup competitions. That road to the final starts of games like this. It's going to be a cracker. Curves as well. You don't want to get knocked out at these stages.
Their spending is trending. Just ask fifth class this week, Rashida.
Jen, no pain, no gain, okay?
Yeah,
I know, it's just,
starting on that.
hello? Where? What?
Wingbacks are important in
Fire.
this setup.
Oh, it's rotating on empty
Experience of
dinner.
playing
Told you this would happen. Life was
Come on.
very demanding role.
With the new City Custom Cash Card, it pays to be you. From fitness clubs, gas stations, restaurants, and more. Earn 5% cash back. Automatically adjustable, unbelievable spend cash. Up to $500 spent each billing cycle.
Day 1. Pleato game. Type. Colored pencil game. Sharp. Orders alphabetically ordered by 7. The squad is back. We're about to play fifth grade. Stop Plus, smile more. When you shop
And now
back to
they
school
get the ball rolling.
I ended up losing my job because of COVID. My biggest stress, I think, was not knowing how
They've given it away.
going to be able to afford my medication. I went to the pharmacist and
Oh, let's go, baby.
asked her if there was anything that she could help me with, and she's like, I already got it. Don't worry about it. Here's your card. It was a huge chunk of change,
Well, the
like a
pass
good
makes the goal, Derek.
75%
Good finish, yes.
that I ended
Ball
up
through
taking.
was brilliant.
I was like jumping up and
Pass.
down. I just couldn't be more
Chance to
grateful.
revisit the goal.
Lots of expert help lined up tonight to help us get through the news.
No other people were involved.
They're now going to debate it again and vote again. We have to be very, very precise. What he did today was word perfect.
He was in the right place to intercept. Opportunity it is. Surely. And they've only gone and applied.
Unselfish bastard. That's me.
disease. I was there. Be right back.
Well, here it is. How do you like him? In and out.
But my symptoms were keeping me from where I needed to be. So I talked to my doctor and learned
Trying to get me?
Humira is the #1 prescribed biologic for people with UC or Crohn's disease. And Humira helps people achieve remission that can last. So you can experience few or no symptoms.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis
Stop.
or prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, remission is possible.
These days, I think part of the appeal of the conservative movement is the transgressive thrill of being a jerk, of being cruel, of mocking people and deriding them when they're in pain or suffering or having a problem. Of being cruel, of mocking people and deriding them when they're in pain or suffering or having a problem. When you build a political movement whose emotional core is transgression and cruelty, ultimately no one is safe from that kind of treatment. So what can lead to the next time that these folks get power?
Keep up with what matters. Keep up with Chris. All in with Chris Hayes. Weeknights at 8 on MSNBC.
And a half-baked clearance. Well, that's really sound goalkeeping, not letting the opposition have any scraps.
Tonight with today's breaking developments in the state of New York, where this morning, embattled Governor Andrew Cuomo announced
staying home.
And he takes on the shot.
This situation,
taking care of the situation.
Current trajectory, will generate months of political and legal controversy. I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing.
Nice and easy for the
And
keeper.
therefore that's what I'll do. And my resignation will be effective in 14 days.
it's big news and the right decision. But the truth is, he really had no other option. Cuomo's announcement comes 1 week to the day after State Attorney General Letitia James' office released a scathing report accusing him of sexually harassing 11 women. Within hours of the report's release, Cuomo's support completely evaporated. And his defiance in the face of the accusations calls for his resignation from Democratic lawmakers reached a crescendo at point.
Dang, what happened, boy?
The state of New York legislature, the U.S. Congress, and even the White House.
What happened, boy? What happened?
Those urging him to get gone.
¿Qué problema?
Aid, and many of those who remained were openly advocating
Damn.
to go.
That's me. He fucked up.
Impeachment inquiry, and his conviction in the state Senate was all but
Shit, enter?
district attorney said it was 4 counties confirmed that they too
Hate that shit.
his conduct. In other words, push came to shove and it came
I don't mean that. I was touching something and it touched my leg. And it scared me a little.
State. She'd already been on the record calling Cuomo's behavior quote repulsive.
Come on! That's horrible, son! Horrible! Too much! Son! My son, that was atrocious, son. That's laps at halftime, buddy. Laps at halftime.
Coming up. But it points to Cuomo's pattern of defiance when facing legal scrutiny. In fact, he continued to stick his chest out, even in his resignation speech today, attempting to discount the AG's report that brought these credible...
Oh, my Lord. My Lord.
The most serious allegations
Son.
against me have no credible factual basis in the report. Obviously, in a highly political matter like this, there are many agendas. And there are many motivations
to keep his concentration to the maximum, and he
if
did.
anyone thought otherwise,
Illegal play, and hence a free kick.
it is politically motivated.
Better not have been you, son. I don't think so.
And it is untrue.
Balotelli.
Well, that said, Cuomo's announcement is actually highlights a glaring double standard that we've got to discuss. As Republicans who for 4 years excused Donald Trump try to join in on the outbreak.
Better than that crap he was shooting before, though.
But honestly, the truth is,
Oh, that's a gun.
entirely, 100%
You can't see me.
Democratic pressure. The Democrats hold their own to a higher standard of conduct. Meanwhile, we still await the resignation announcements from alleged teen sex trafficker Matt Gates, creepy car guy Madison Cawthorn, and Jim Jordan, who allegedly looked the other way as an assistant coach at the sexual predation of the state wrestling coach, long before he became an insurrectionist. Just saying. I'm joined now by New York State Assembly member Ron Kemp, former federal prosecutor Cynthia Oxley, and Ronan Farrow, contributing writer for The New Yorker. And Representative Kemp, I want to start, Assemblymember Kemp, I want to start with you first. You might have been the first person to call for Cuomo's resignation. I do believe you were the first to call for it. So I want to get your reaction to him finally announcing he would go.
You're a dick.
And he's through.
Told you you would.
Get back to the work at hand for protecting New Yorkers and moving the state forward. But we're also worried that we may not get the accountability that we deserve to make sure we understand what went wrong. What were the decisions that went into the Cuomo's administration that led to thousands of unnecessary deaths in nursing homes, and the 11 women that have to bravely come out to hold them accountable. But how do we make sure that we never repeat the same mistake?
Don't disrespect me like that. I'm the top leading scorer, and you're gonna.
Ultimately, the Speaker of the House went on and got a job somewhere and was sort of living his life, and then ultimately got indicted. In that case, this was his involvement in sexual predation against young men when he was a wrestling coach. So sometimes
firecracker.
Resignation and the accountability.
Might as well sit me down. That's game, baby.
You see that trajectory here because
Well, let me get a goal and sit me down.
A report from the state attorney general, Letitia James, should Cuomo consider himself fully out of the woods legally?
No, he's not out of the woods legally at all. Let me just say, this resignation was so arrogant that he would send his lawyer out for 45 minutes to attack the victims and attack the other lawyers and attack the attorney general before he went out without any humility at all. I just found it outrageous. And no, he's certainly not out of the legal woods. I mean, he has the criminal cases, which my guess will make that criminal case go away. But the civil cases are serious. And the New York State is going to have to make a decision if they're going to settle those cases or what they're going to do. And then, of course, there's the investigation into the nursing home deaths. There's an investigation into the ethical practices around them.
That's what's up.
He has some big, serious issues. And while you're right to bring up the Dennis Hastert case, let's not kid ourselves. That was a long time ago, and the world has changed. And the tolerance for people to put up with this hostile work environment, and it has been dramatically changed. I mean, after all, that looked the other way, and those were rapes. And we're not looking the other way, and these are not rapes. These are not as serious, but it was a hostile work environment, and the civil cases will continue. My guess is they'll end up being settled for a while.
You know, and Ronan, the word arrogance does, that Cynthia brings up, I think it brings up because you think about the fact that during the Me Too era, when presumably the governor understood the environment he was working in, I mean, you were at work exposing other men who were high-profile predators in workplaces from Hollywood to, and on and on and on, to the news industry. And here he is committing these offenses during that while saying he supported Me Too. Talk about
Thank you.
Is he also, from your reporting, trying to stand in the way of federal investigations? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
I'm glad you asked about that because I think it's actually important to understanding today's events. One of the pieces of significance and the reasons to return to this part of history where he was arrogant earlier as well is one of the authors of the Attorney General's report that has brought about these events was actually someone who tangled with him before. June Kim was part of an investigation into him back in 2014 and was actually someone who he then went after. June Kim's boss was Preet Bharara, at the time the top federal prosecutor in Manhattan, and we document in this story that he was doing everything in his power to forestall this inquiry into whether he closed an institution that he had started. And then in yet another example of, to echo your word, I think some would say arrogance, certainly improper, and experts we talked to said possibly illegal conduct, he then shuttered that commission when it started getting close to investigators on it said people in his orbit. So you have layers and layers of arrogance and misconduct here, and I think it's telling that the Democratic Party in New York and politicians of all stripes allowed Andrew Cuomo to bully in this way, to go at the very least right up to the edge of obstruction of justice. We talk about him calling the White House about that boss of the author of this report that we're dealing with this week. Again, Preet Bharara, the prosecutor. These are actions that alarmed people along the way for years, and yet this is also someone who really was able to maintain a vice grip on power. So I hope part of the cultural transformation that you're talking about, Joy, also includes more accountability for those forms of corruption, those abuses of people's offices.
You know, it's interesting, Assemblyman Kidd, because it sounds very much like Trump, even with Pete Ferrara appearing in the story as well, right? That there was a sort of similar
I hate this one.
that you did see operating in the White House.
Yeah, let's play.
Did you get the sense that perhaps Cuomo, in his own thinking, felt that he could sort of pull a Donald Trump, that he could sort of do the kinds of things and be the kind of person that the president was? Do you think, was that going on? What do you think was going on here?
I mean, I think that's precisely the point here. There's like the through line of all this, talking about powerful men who have a history of being in privileged positions who think that they're above the law. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge Ronan's investigative work, who was able to go back and do the really hard work to connect those dots, to highlight how much of an abusive person Andrew Cuomo has been to workers, to women, to the state of New York, going back many, many years. And I want to really acknowledge that work, Ronan. Congratulations on your work. And now it's up to us to hold him accountable to make sure that we don't repeat the same mistakes moving forward.
Thank you for that. And, you know, I would just add, there were sources that came forward, you know, Joy and anyone watching at home, you know, I would point to the people who empower any journalist to do a story like this. Everyone I talked to in this story, Joy, was terrified about talking about Andrew Cuomo. And an anecdote like the one we just discussed, where he went after the investigators who were on the case in the present day, where he had this long history of going after them or their bosses. You know, these are anecdotes that people did not want to talk about, and the fact that everyone went on the record ultimately, I think, is certainly a sign of change and something that we should all encourage, because we wouldn't get these stories and we wouldn't get that shot of accountability otherwise.
That is a really important point, and Cynthia, I want to come back to you on that, because I think that the through line, the other through line with all of these stories of these powerful men who put themselves above the law, essentially saying that they can abuse whoever they want, however they want, and get away with it for quite a long time, is what the thing we don't see that often are prosecutions or sort of legal consequences that stick, right? That they'll be run out of their companies or paid out of their companies or pushed out. Realistically, is this going to be a case where we see that happen again, where Cuomo leaves power, but how likely is it that there is some more concrete consequence? Because we haven't really seen that with a lot of these men. They get humiliated and pushed out, but then what? I guess that's the question for a lot of people.
Well, the question here is, can he run for office again? And if he runs, will he be reelected? Right. I mean, the only way to really block him is to have him be criminally prosecuted or to go forward on the impeachment when he's not around anymore. And I mean, that's a political question that's not my area of expertise. But I will say this: my hunch is the criminal prosecution in this case will go away. Just because there are only so many resources in the world in the Albany office, and if you have hundreds of cases in front of you and lots of victims, this isn't the case you're going to allocate resources for now, given that he's paid the price of giving up the governorship. So I don't think, you're asking me will there be a criminal prosecution? I do not think so. I believe there will be a civil, and there will be a lot of money paid. And then the question is, are the voters going to tolerate it? Will there be more enablement? I mean, in the Trump case, that's the problem, isn't it? That, yeah, everybody knows what he did, and yet half the country votes for him. So, I mean, what are you going to do with that? Right? That's not the prosecutor's fault. I mean, we have to have a higher standard for who we elect. I mean, you get who you know, on some level, you get who you deserve. You have a good sense to not elect people who are harassing women, then you get people who harass women.
Bit of a waste, I think.
So we have to all raise our standards.
I think that's true, and Assemblyman Kim, I definitely have to give you the last word on that, because I think you brought up other situations that feel unfinished as issues that we need to deal with. And I've talked to prosecutors, back when I was in Florida, who would say, you know, removing the politician or them removing themselves, often, as Cynthia said, is the end of it, because it takes them out of a position to do further harm. And
that's my first rally I've seen. I haven't seen one all.
That will be the end of it.
Well, I made a commitment back in March that when Andrew Cuomo goes down for sexual harassment, I will still be here to hold him accountable for the nursing home beds. We're talking about 16,000 families who still want the truth and accountability for the failed policies that governor instituted the last several months.
who think that there's a pending open investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI, and I certainly hope that they will continue to pursue those investigations.
Hat-trick!
Especially now
Bye.
that we're in a position of power. It's fair game. He can't use public resources, political capital, use his powerful platform to gaslight the workers, the families, the public. Now we can truly investigate and examine what he did wrong.
I wish that we had two political parties that had the same standard, because I think there's a lot of this to go around, a lot of accountability that needs to happen. I want to join President Barrow on this terrific reporting. Thank you so much. Always appreciate you. Cynthia Oxley, always appreciate you. And Assemblyman Ron Kim, who really started this ball rolling. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you. All right, up next on the readout, Governor DeSantis in Florida's COVID catastrophe as the Delta variant rages in his state. Get this, he refuses to budge.
Outweighed, outmeasured, and they've been found wanting.
Protect themselves and their customers. Just rooting for COVID. Plus, after the previous administration misfired again and again and again on infrastructure, this administration got it done. But will Democrats fight just as hard for other critical priorities like voting rights? Secretary Pete Buttigieg joins me tonight. And tonight's absolute worst are feeding deadly misinformation to their constituents that they know is a bunch of horse pucky. The readout continues after this.
This is a game changer who dares to be fearless even when her bladder leaks. Our softest, smoothest fabric, keeping her comfortable, protected, and undeniably sleek. Depend. The only thing stronger than us is you.
I brought in Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein. Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and now with 2 new flavors.
Get a first half as one-sided as this one. They've been very good. The team that are leading, of course.
Unstoppable in-wash scent booster. Down the Unstoppables. This is Jean. Jean drives an invisible car because conspiracy is really important to her. So she went to the Zebra. We helped her compare the top insurance companies transparently. Compare and save at thezebra.com.
My favorite thing about Prime is getting my paychecks up to 2 days early, which is really cool because I walk into the office, I'm already posting that I can pay. My name is Lisa, and I love Prime.
Download the Chime app today.
Let's get some hotcakes and maybe suggest a similar
3 points coming up perhaps here. Can't wait for it. Intercepted well. So you will see the visiting team in action on EA Sports in their next fixture in Serie A. Let the defenders try right now. Here's a chance.
What, nigga?
This is our collective history.
Well, scoring in any game is worthy of celebration. When you get to it is special. And he is feeling that special delight at the moment. Displayed by this forward. It's not going to be the full distance in the end, but 2 goals and
crowd strike. We stopped breaches.
That's alright. My butt was tired.
You look a little lost.
This is not normal.
Go with us and find millions of flexible options, all in our app. Expedia. It matters who you travel with.
Guys, once you reach a certain age, the hoodie's not a good look. You gotta step up your style. You get the hoodless hoodie from Skechers. It's sleek and stylish with a sophisticated look that goes with everything. The hoodless hoodie from Skechers. Style and comfort, all grown up.
Why choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because the Quality Night Sleep is scientifically proven to help increase energy and improve recovery. And it keeps you at your best all day long. The new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed is temperature balancing. And it helps keep you asleep by sensing your movement and automatically adjusts to keep you both effortlessly comfortable. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed is on sale now during our biggest sale of the year.
When I grew up having dogs, we always went to kibble. It just seemed like the thing to do.
Oh, hell no. Man.
With Farmer's Dog, it was a complete 180. It's just so fresh that she literally gets bubbles in her mouth. You can identify the turkey. It smells like actual food. This is aged, he's still quite youthful.
I like those colors. Lazio. Some nice tea. I like that. We're gonna play with y'all next.
Florida remains the epicenter of the pandemic of the unvaccinated. Counties across the state continue to crush records for hospitalizations, including Duval County, home to Jacksonville, where the record 1,200 people hospitalized on Monday accounted for 1 out of every 945 county residents. And in Pinellas County, some hospitals are so strapped, ambulances wait for up to an hour before patients can be admitted. The Federal Department of Health and Human Services confirmed today that in response to a request from Florida, it sent 200 ventilators and 100 additional pieces of equipment. Yet Florida's Republican governor, cosplaying tough guy Ron DeSantis, said he didn't know anything about the request, even as COVID patients occupy nearly half of all ICU beds in the state, the highest rate in the nation. Just last week, DeSantis claimed Florida's hospital crisis was just media hysteria.
I was right there, man.
Zoom classes today, with the state leading the country in the number of children hospitalized with COVID. DeSantis has even threatened to withhold salaries from educators if they mandate masks in violation of his nonsensical mask mandate ban. Governor DeSantis, as he's become known by his detractors, is up for re-election next year, as is his partner in carnage, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott. Both are choosing their craven political ambitions over the health of their own citizens. Fortunately for the children, school districts in Florida are rejecting the DeSantis lunacy. Just today, Broward County Schools, the state's second largest district, voted overwhelmingly to keep its mask mandate in place, defying the governor's threat. And with me now is Dr. Rodman Osgood, a member of the Broward County School Board, and Rick Wilson, Republican strategist and co-founder of the Lincoln Project. Thank you both for being here. Dr. Osgood, anxious to talk with you. Tell me what went on inside of that, inside and outside, if you know, of that school board meeting in my former county, Broward County, today.
Hi, Joy. Today was a very, very interesting day. We had parents there advocating for mask out options. A lot more parents advocating for mandatory masks. We got elected officials present. We received hundreds and hundreds of emails, literally, of parents begging us to protect and keep their children safe. It was a very comprehensive discussion. I get to serve with a group of phenomenal women in Broward County. We always use collective excellence in our decision making. So we had dialogue about the law, about the consequences, about the health concerns, about the risk.
Ooh.
And it kind of just came down to holding our oath and doing the right thing to protect the people that elect us, to serve them as local school board members. You know, we just concluded that we were not going to be fully into parochial self-interest by the governor, who is threatening to withhold our salary, the superintendent's salary. We just decided that, 8 of us decided that the lives of our students and our staff were invaluable. And we were not going to talk
Man.
Did tell our viewers that federal COVID relief dollars would be used to support schools who are punished for passing mask mandates. Rick, I wonder, you know, I've known you for a long time, my friend. We've been on opposite sides of everything when we first started being friends. Whatever happened to small government conservatism? That was the thing you and I used to talk about all the time. We used to fight about it, right? And here, let me let you know.
How's that bad call for pass? Got us a corner, man.
Like what he's doing is small government conservatism. Take a listen. This is the one.
If you believe in the masking during the school, you're free to do it. No one's saying you can't do it. But if you're somebody that is concerned about that, that thinks that that may not be the right thing for your child, then I think you should have the right to make that ultimate decision. I don't think government should override that.
But if the government he's talking about is the school board, Rick. When did they lose power?
The great conceit, Joy, of the Republican Party for generations was the more local government is, the more legitimate it is. That we should have the 10th Amendment that says states don't have to do every single thing that is a whim of the federal government. That we should devolve power down as far as possible.
Sure shot that one.
Here in Ron DeSantis is a breathtakingly cynical line. He's running for president in 2024 or 28, depending on whether Donald Trump dies of flail fish poisoning. But he is going to, he's doing this for politics exclusively, and he is trying to tell local school boards, one of the most small D democratically responsive groups of people in the world who deal with parents.
Nigga, the fuck was that?
What they're going to do and not do. You know, the Broward County decision today was bold. Alachua County also. Tonight in Leon County, the school board said, Rocky Hanna, the head of the Leon County School Board, just said, no, we're not going to do it. I think it's the law. This is wrong. We're not going to put our kids in danger. We're not going to play politics with this because Ron DeSantis wants to run for president and keep Fox News happy. You know, it really is a shit. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to, do you believe him when he says he didn't even know that the federal government is saving the Floridas behind and sending them ventilators? Do you really think he didn't know?
Well, you know, I just saw Peter Schwartz publish his schedule for tomorrow. No calls with the Department of Health, no calls with CDC, no calls with hospitals, no calls with county health officials, nothing. He's going around doing a Ron DeSantis lonely tour tomorrow in the state of Florida. I think it's
go.
Give it to him. I think it's possible he just doesn't care. Hey, you know, as much as we like to think of Florida as this crazy, wacky state, I got to tell you, if this had happened during
that damn thing, he better not.
Jeb Bush or Charlie Crist,
why I get yellow?
On this, we would have done this the right way. We would not have had this, you know, they would have done the right thing. No matter whether you disagree with them or agree with them politically, they all gave a shit gave a damn about people in Florida, and they were going to do the right thing. And this guy,
come on, little man.
I agree with that. Any of those governors. Let me final question to you, Dr. Osgood. Has Ron DeSantis, the governor, visited any schools personally in Broward County?
How is that a foul? That's some bull. Bull over.
COVID is actually
yeah, now what?
The individual students and parents and teachers in the state.
No, not to my knowledge.
I'm very good at protecting myself.
To represent a very
shut up.
African, a very black district, where blacks in my district make up 45 and under, make up 30% of the population. They make up about 70% of the new coronavirus cases. We have children
See?
Hospitals are almost at capacity, and I could just go on and on. It's insane to think that we would allow the people in Broward County. I won't allow their lives to be a part of a political pawn. They mean too much to me. If I have to go without my salary, if I never hold public office again, at the end of the day, I have to have a moral perspective. I have a higher being that I respond to other than Ron DeSantis.
Jesus. That was horrible, bro.
The people of Broward County too. My children were raised there. They went to Broward County.
Sorry, Lord.
So
take your name in vain over dams.
So y'all that are fighting to do the right thing, because you're right. Florida's a beautiful state and deserves far better than the governance that they're getting. Because I'm with you, Rick. He doesn't care. Clearly, he doesn't care. Dr. Rosalind Osgood, Rick Wilson, thank you both very much. We appreciate you joining. Okay, cheers. Still ahead on the readout. The Senate has signed off on the largest investment in American infrastructure ever proposed. A huge win for the Biden administration. But will Democrats fight as hard for, let's say, the right to vote? Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg joins me next. We'll be right back.
Here's a chance. He's refused to be beaten here.
Come on!
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure with 27 vitamins and minerals. Now introducing Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein.
Cleopatra was the most powerful woman in Egypt.
Very good football here. We've still got 30 more minutes to go. I'm sure we're going to enjoy that as well.
Watching her video, she realised Ruda's could get back. So she was ready to switch time. After that, it was more of a one team, one dream kind of move.
didn't get hold of all that.
Body language in this kickoff isn't great, is it? And you
I
can
think progress
understand
with my
why.
mental health. So when I started having unintentional body movements called tardive dyskinesia, I ignored them. And when the movements in my hands and feet started throwing me off the work, I finally had to say, it's not okay.
That's a silly tackle, really.
She said,
Yellow. Yeah, I saw that coming.
While I continued with most of my mental health medications.
It's a definite foul, Martin.
Costello can cause
Slight tackle,
depression
but he
that
just
are constant
mistimed
actions
it
in
badly.
patients with Huntington's disease.
He's a
It
long
calls
way out
attention
here,
to and call your
Martin. I
doctor
believe
if
he's
you
going to
become
actually
depressed,
try and
have
shoot.
sudden changes in mood, behavior,
Tipped over
feelings, or
by the keeper
suicidal
there.
thoughts. Common side effects include inflammation of the nose and throat, insomnia, and sleepiness. Don't take Costello if you have liver problems or taking aspirin, tetrabenazine, or methylphenidate. Costello may cause irregular or fast heartbeat, restlessness, movements mimicking Parkinson's disease, fever, stiffness, problems thinking and sweating.
Talk to your doctor about Costello. It's time to treat TD. TD is not okay. Visit AskForCostello.com.
Allergy sufferers. Bedtime means it's time to take Zysol. Zysol relieves allergies while you sleep, so you wake refreshed. And in a clinical study, after just 1 day, 90% felt powerful 24-hour relief. So, you might as well take Zysol at night.
Deep sea driving, I see.
Something
Well,
like
it's
that.
not easy
Oh, here's
to
something.
find the spirit
As
here
long
that
as
they're going to
policy
need
put
in
new
these
car
circumstances
replacements,
as
you
they
can get
kick
a
off
new
again.
one.
That's something
20
else.
minutes of the 90 still to play. Senad Lulic. He's running back easily.
Now Dish has dedicated teams monitoring your signal 24/7.
Well, they're getting the ball forward. They need to do
Because
that.
we know you need dependable TV
Has to get it away.
24/7. Dish. TV
He's got it away.
24/7.
Thousands of women with metastatic breast cancer are living in the moment and taking Ibrance. Ibrance with an aromatase inhibitor is for postmenopausal women or for men with HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ibrance plus letrozole significantly
Dang right you would have.
progression versus letrozole. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening chest pain, cough, or trouble breathing. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, or who are kidney problems, or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. For more information about side effects, talk to your doctor.
Calling for the press, but he's still got the ball.
Be in your moment. Ask your doctor about Ibrance.
Welcome to my first ever talk show. Heart to Heart.
The challenge for the attacking team here against the Nets defence. They'll have plenty of the ball, but they've got to try and break it down.
I hold the record to be the youngest child to ever get suspended in my school.
Yes,
Are you
a man
proud?
in form, I would say today.
Let's continue.
Defence knew all
You're
about
right.
it
Drugs,
beforehand,
people.
but
Just
really
right to it. You just need to work on your tongue. If you have a heart.
now it looks like a question of just how many. They really are on top now, stretching the lead, looking like the real winners of this match.
After years and years of infrastructure
Both
week,
sides settling for
we're on the cusp
lots
of
on
an
the
infrastructure
scoreline.
decade
Vast difference
that
between
I
the two
fully
teams.
believe will transform America.
3 minutes
Folks,
from
above
the
all,
referee by the
this historic investment in infrastructure
Brave
is what I believe you, the American
Handball, man.
intentions of the
that you've
opposition
been
there
asking
to
for
make
for
the
a
interception.
long time.
That was President Joe Biden celebrating the passage
He's
of
had a
a
look at the ref, he
bipartisan
knows what's
infrastructure bill. After weeks of back and forth, an overwhelming majority of senators, 69 of them, approved a bill that would set aside $550 billion in new spending over 5 years for roads, public transit, new water
Game over.
and power grids, among other things. 19 Republicans were willing to buck Biden's disgraced one-term predecessor, even as he hysterically begged them not to. President Biden is now on track to deliver a major infrastructure overhaul for the country just months after his inauguration, something the Orange One repeatedly promised but failed to achieve. But now comes the harder part. The bill is just the first of 2 tracks that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has laid out. The second track, called the Human Infrastructure Track, will be done through the budget reconciliation process, which allowed Democrats to avoid the 60-vote filibuster. Democrats' Human Infrastructure Bill would expand access to education, child care, and boost benefits that support women in the workforce. Shortly after passage of the infrastructure bill, Senate Democrats moved to start that process. In a sign of what's to come, members of the House Progressive Caucus warned Speaker Nancy Pelosi that the majority of their members
Let's see if that works.
votes on the bipartisan bipartisan infrastructure deal until the Senate has passed budget reconciliation deemed acceptable. Speaker Pelosi has assured her members that she would not pass infrastructure without reconciliation in hand. And joining now is someone who will play a big role in the rollout of this package if it passes, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, a.k.a. the trains guy. I want to give you an opportunity first to talk about this bill. I'm going to put up on screen some of what's in it, but talk a little bit about it and how big of a deal is it for the administration?
Well, it's a huge deal, not just for the administration, but for the country. The bill that advanced through the Senate today includes some of the most meaningful investments we've ever made in our infrastructure, investments in public transit at a level that we've never seen before from the federal government. Support, as you said, for trains that we're very excited about. Not just in case you're a train fan, but we think it means so much to regional economies and to the struggle against climate change to create more of those options for Americans. It's got funding for roads and bridges. It stands on the principle that we need to do more for water infrastructure, resilience, dealing with droughts, fires, and floods, especially in this week when we got such an alarming report on climate change from the global scientific community. Internet infrastructure, and so much more. Of course, it's got to work its way through the House and then get to the President's signature for a desk, but today was a very big and a very good thing.
Well, I want to let you tap that, because I don't want to downplay what a big deal it is to invest that much money in infrastructure, especially if you've been to an airport in the United States lately, or you've seen a lot of our roads and bridges. You know we need this, right? Our Flint needs water, it's lead pipes change, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the rub, just a little bit. You had 19 Senate Republicans who voted yes. Most of those who voted yes are either not up for re-election, already just got re-elected, like Mitch McConnell, so they don't have to worry for 6 more years, or they're retiring. So you're only able to get 19 Republicans to say we need roads and bridges, which seems pretty straightforward, because much of the climate change and other stuff was stripped out of it. So I wonder now, given the amount of work that the White House put in to getting those 19 Republicans to pass this bill, is the same effort going to go into making sure that there's not a double cross on the other bill? Because that's the bill that progressives in the House have said if that doesn't pass, they ain't voting for this.
Absolutely. The president believes in both, and that's why both of them taken together represent his economic policy agenda for this country. Look, America needs roads and bridges, internet, ports, airports, and the rest of it. We also need to move forward on these provisions, what we have been calling human infrastructure. Some people might just call it families.
Sheesh!
What we need to do? We need to extend the child tax credit and give that tax cut to families with children, and by the way, that will have a huge impact on poverty for children in this country. We've got to do more on climate. We've got to take a lot of steps. Now, I'm going to continue making the case that actually there's no reason that couldn't be bipartisan as well, but realistically, we know that that's unlikely to get the kind of Republican crossover support that you saw for the transportation-heavy bill that moved through the Senate today.
And not only that, but you've got people like Kirsten Sinema, who's like shrugging her shoulders, number one, and having no diversity in the negotiations for this bill. Essentially, 20 white senators got together and said, we're just going to do this with no diversity at the table. But the other bill is addressing the stuff that the diverse base of the party really needs. So my question is, number one, do you have a commitment from Kirsten Sinema? Do you have a commitment from the conservatives in your party, the Chris Coonses of the world, the Joe Manchins, the Dianne Feinstein, that they are going to support the bigger...
Oh!
Well, I think that's exactly what they are now working through as we move into that phase of things. But I'm confident that we can hold together with such important priorities on the line. I do want to make sure we don't understate what it means to the diverse base of the country and the diverse American people that we got this first part through the Senate. You look at the funding for public transit, for example. Black commuters much more likely to depend on public transit to get to work. You look at the support for electric vehicles and not just helping with chargers for family cars, but cleaner vehicles for bus systems and transit. When Latino families are much more likely to live close to ports or highways and experience asthma as a consequence of airborne pollution. tribal residents more likely to have safety issues and which is one of the reasons we really care about the safety provisions here. So I want to make sure we don't short that, even while agreeing that we've got a lot of work to do in that second track. That's why that second track is there, and we want both to come to the president's desk when the president wants to sign both.
And you know, and I respect what you said. I appreciate
that was nice.
I believe you when you say that, Secretary Pete. Kristen Sinema has not convinced a lot of people that
that would have been an assist, but
that she came to the
still
table
nice.
With the interests of voters of color in mind. Because it's not believable. She isn't even trying to make the case that she does. So my question to you is, Amy Klobuchar, Senator Klobuchar, and Senator Warren, I've interviewed them both and done their interviews on MSNBC. They talked about the fact that election infrastructure could be viewed as infrastructure. Should we expect there to be the White House weighing in and saying maybe we can get some of these election protection provisions into this next bill? Seeing as that who's unfortunately filibuster's not going anywhere for now, should we expect to see some election infrastructure placed in the human infrastructure bill so that at least your folks can vote?
I don't know the finer points of what the Senate negotiators will be proposing. But I know this. Whatever the vehicle is, the president has called on Congress, called on America to pass real voter protections, whether we're talking about the John Lewis Act, the Florida People Act, all of the things that need to happen in order to make sure that we protect that foundation. I admire this idea of it being a kind of democratic or moral infrastructure, but whatever you want to call it, it's a sacred right, it's a vital right, it's part of what makes America America, and we have to pursue that as well.
And there it is, the halftime whistle. Secretary Pete, always appreciate talking with you. Get on the phone with Kristen Sinema, because I don't know if she agrees with you about all of that, but she hasn't really convinced very many people that she does, and also Manchin as well. So get on the phone with them. Secretary Pete Buttigieg, congratulations on that big bill. Thank you for being here. Don't go anywhere. The absolute worst is up next. And downright dangerous Republican rhetoric on vaccines certainly qualifies. Stay with us.
Crossing opportunities. And a throw-in it's going to be. Coming through with a goal in the Verona match, Alan McInally.
Strain ponies daily stop surviving overreacting allergens.
Has a go. And that's a fine stop. He's given a corner, the referee. Played into the centre of the box. Foiling them effectively.
Here's the guy
reminder, more live football coming your way here on EA TV.
What do you think?
You might
Let's
enjoy
see it.
this
Let's bring
game.
us on the outside.
Atmospheres make games, Derek. That should be an absolute belter.
Game changer. You know some VA WeatherTech floor liners?
Just wanted to get it out of there.
I also have the cargo liner and seat protector.
They have elected to go to the bench at this
So what do you
stage of the
think of my
game.
trading now?
It just went up. Way up.
Thought so.
Protect your investment. Order your American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Step up, prep up to help keep you free from the risk of HIV. Discovery for PrEP, a once-daily prescription medicine that helps lower the chances of getting HIV through sex. It's not for everyone. Discovery for PrEP has not been studied in people assigned female at birth. Talk to your doctor to find out if it's right for you. Discovery is another way to PrEP. Discovery does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections, so it's important to use safer sex practices and get tested regularly. You must be HIV negative to take Discovery for PrEP, so you need to get tested for HIV immediately before and at least every 3 months while taking it. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. They may check to confirm you're still HIV negative. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. The most common side effect was diarrhea. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Discovery without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about your risk of HIV, and Discovery for PrEP is right for you. Get help paying for Discovery for PrEP. Learn more at StepUpRedLove.com.
This is Joe. He used to have bad breath. Now he uses a cap full of TheraBreath fresh breath deodorants to keep his breath smelling great all day long. TheraBreath. It's a better mouthwash. Walmart Target and Open Source.
Yeah, 0 to 0.
But we just lowered
You
our
think,
auto rates.
wow, and then all of a sudden you realise where it's gone. How about this? for a big transfer story.
And savings on
Emily
that.
Aubameyang has completed his
What
move
have
to
you chosen
Atletico.
for joy?
Well, there's a reported fee of
Now
around
get many lower
£45 million,
overrates with
Derek.
Allstate.
It's definitely worth that sort of money in
Because
my
better
book.
protection
Good, solid pro,
costs a whole lot
technically
less.
really gifted too.
You're in good hands with Allstate. Click or call for a lower overrate today.
Zoe for Azo here. I've been taking Azo bladder control every day. It has clinically studied ingredients and naturally supports flat muscle strength.
Clear options in the
And
middle.
I'm not being
Almost.
myself, so that's good.
Well, it's goal
Oh,
after goal
with Azo.
after goal. Just no end to this. A brilliant display.
3 times. 1, 2, 3.
Quality night's sleep we've ever made. Save 50% on HP 360 limited edition smart bed, plus 0% interest for 24 months, only for limited time. For years, I struggled with anxiety and depression. When I was ready for help, finding the right care was nearly impossible. Luckily, he had us.
Less than convincing defending. Here we be. Disappointing. Well, as you know, I'm not a goal scorer, but I think I could have done better than that.
Proud of me. Shut up.
With our affordable care model, you can get meds prescribed and delivered. And talk with a licensed therapist.
Oh, Jello. I love that.
Get your first month for just $30 at getcerebral.com.
What have you chosen for joy? Now get more
Oh, shh.
No real difficulties for him.
because
No,
better
decent
protection
position from the
costs a
goalkeeper.
whole
Poor
lot
shot,
less.
to be honest with you.
You're in good hands
Right?
with Allstate. Click or call for a lower overrate today.
Zoe for Azo here. I've been taking Azo bladder control every day. It has clinically studied ingredients and naturally supports flat muscle strength. And I'm not being myself, so that's good.
Own your day with Azo.
Well, he was so unlucky not to score, Derek. It was a great effort. Sabelli. They're on the scent of something
Get
positive.
$100
Can he put
only
it
at
away?
bluelouder.com.
It's the big
Well,
sale
as
of
the
the year.
attacking
And the new
side, you
Sleep
might
Number 360
dispute it,
smart
but
bed. It's the most
offside
comfortable,
by a
dually
hair.
adjustable,
Yes,
foot
spot on
warming,
from the
temperature
line.
balancing,
Spot on when
proven
it's
quality
close.
night's sleep we've ever made. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus 0% interest for 24 months, only for limited time.
For years, I struggled with anxiety and depression.
And it's a
But when
case
I was
of
ready
just
for
5
help,
minutes
finding
left.
the right care was nearly impossible.
Something has changed
Luckily,
in the
he
Inter
had us.
game. A
As mental
goal
health
there. Alan
professionals,
McAnally can tell us more.
It's a good goal
Not
for
everyone
Inter.
has that. That's why I started Cerebral. Online mental health care without the high cost of wait
And
times.
options in
With
the
our
centre.
affordable care model, you can get
Attending to
meds
his defensive
prescribed and
chores.
delivered. And talk with a licensed therapist on your own time. With Cerebral, everyone gets a care team.
Get your first month for just $30 at getcerebral.com.
It's time for us to resist. They can't arrest all of us. We don't have to accept the mandates, lockdowns, and harmful policies of petty tyrants and bureaucrats. We can simply say no.
Hey, Fidel Castro, Republicans like Rand Paul like to pretend that those on the left are just jonesing for the country to shut down again. The Democrats don't want to see their friends or go on vacations. And it's all about some sick form of control that will somehow help them politically. Au contraire, mon frère. Here's what's really happening. In a time of those hospitalized and fewer than 6% of those who have died. So once again, Republicans are tonight's absolute worst for their dangerous rhetoric on masks and vaccines.
Absolute fucking
The
worst.
bizarro world nature of that rhetoric. Better than Texas. Last night, while Ted Cancun Cruz was on Fox News ranting and raving about so-called leftist power grabs, his state's hospitals were reaching capacity. And his governor, like Florida's Ron DeSantis, was calling COVID 911, asking for help from out of state.
Hold up. Hold up.
We'll be right back.
Got a to-do list that just goes on and on and on? Download Thumbtack. It's the app that finds you local pros for any home project, like people to fix the plumbing, or freshen up old paint, or help you deal with all those boxes. Thumbtack instantly finds local pros for you. It shows you prices and reviews so you can hire exactly who you need. Download the app and start your next project today. Thumbtack.
Truthfully, it's frustrating to see how fast dust reappears.
But dusting with a cloth is a pain.
And dealing with a bulky vacuum is such a hassle. Ugh. So now, we use our Swiffer Sweeper
And dusters. The fluffy fibers, they pick up dust easily, wrapping it in all those hard-to-reach places. Gotcha.
And for our floors, Sweeper's texture cloths lock all kinds of dirt, dust, and pet hair. Unlike my vacuum, it sneaks under and around places. Look at that.
Dust-free and hassle-free.
Stop cleaning, start Swiffering.
Start your day with Crest 3D White. And from Mochachinos to Merlot, your smile will always be brilliant. Crest 3D White Brilliance. 100% stain removal. 24-hour stain resistance to lock in your whitest smile. Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
It's in our decision. Now Dad's getting the special care that he needs.
Well, what a game we have in store for you today. The hype has been
Is that writing?
week and the fans are pouring into the stadium. The tension palpable.
Step footwear. Feels like you're floating as our Air Comfort outsoles give you a cozy soft landing and propel you forward. Plus, they have Skechers' exclusive air-cooled memory foam. Try Skechers' new Glide Step.
As someone who resembles someone else,
Welcome
I
everyone
appreciate that
on
Liberty
a
Mutual
perfect
knows
night for
everyone's
football
unique.
with the
That's why they
floodlights
customize
leading
car
down.
insurance, so you can
I'm
pick what
Derek
you
Ray,
need.
joined in the commentary box by Lee Dixon, and we have action from the round
I mean,
of
just because you
16
look like
just
someone else
seconds
doesn't
away
mean you get
now.
off the floor.
It is
Or build a
Atalanta,
vacuum.
and they face pressure.
Movie card? I didn't. What movie card?
16 teams left. Who's going to hold
Only pay
their
for what you need.
Looking forward to this one. It should be an absolute belter.
Selling a home is expensive and stressful. So we set out to create a better
Well, you can probably see why we're...
I don't know. Put 0-0, nigga. That's sense.
Lee, in particular, what do you expect to see from his game?
Well, as soon as you start putting the ball in the net, 3 goals in the last 3 games, that breeds confidence. When you've got a player that sharp in front of goal, he's a huge asset
We are
to
not
the
a
team.
discount brokers. These are top local agents that will get you the best results.
Zapata.
We are not on a mission.
Man, I can't do shit right now.
Their exercise of power is arbitrary.
Can't do nothing these days.
It's driven by the momentary politics. It would be one thing, look, if we were dealing with the zombie apocalypse where anyone who came near this was dropping dead, you could understand at least why they were proposing some of this stuff. But they know what they're saying is nonsense.
It's just the beer supposed to make him look smarter. That was Ted Kingfishers going off on vaccines and mask mandates, with no regard for the fact that his home state of Texas is in real trouble. Hours of work crews went on heavy to pander to his base. Texas Governor Greg Abbott asked for out-of-state help to fight the coronavirus. Cases have spiked by 172% over the past 14 days, and hospitals all over the state are filling up with dozens entirely out of ICU beds. But mask mandates are banned in Texas, and Abbott has zero plans to change that, saying repeatedly that Texans have the information and intelligence to make their own decisions on what steps to take to protect their health. Now, Sochi Inhofe, Democratic strategist and former communications director for the Democratic National Committee, and Tim Miller.
Should have crossed it, bitch.
Thank you for being here. Sochi, I'm going to start with you. We have the news as of today that a judge has temporarily delivered a blow to Governor Abbott's ban on mask mandates, allowing San Antonio to require masks in schools. I know San Antonio is on fire with COVID. Are we now basically going to have to leave it up to the courts to install some sanity in these states where COVID is running rampant?
I think that's right. I'm in San Antonio right now, and I got an emergency alert last week on my phone that said 9 in 10 of hospitalizations are people who are unvaccinated. There are kids going to school next week, and Greg Abbott was basically telling cities, no, you don't need to mandate masks. These are unvaccinated children. They also don't have to disclose COVID cases. In San Antonio, if your kid has lice, you have to disclose that your kid has lice, yet you don't have to disclose that your kid has COVID. There's something deeply wrong with that. And I was reading that there are about 329 ICU beds in the entire state. This is failed leadership at its core, and you will have the courts. My hope is you will have the courts reverse some of these decisions, because we saw what happened in Florida today. You have the Biden administration sending ventilators, and I won't be surprised if the same thing happens in Texas too.
Let me have a fun video for you, Tim, only because I know you'll appreciate it. This is Ted Cruz, and this is what he said when it comes to COVID guidelines.
Yeah! See me, baby! See me!
Herd mentality among congressional Democrats that they obey Chuck Schumer, and their only answer is, sir, yes, sir.
That guy. The guy who was like, yes, sir.
Brilliant ball through.
He's ugly and my father is a murderer, sir.
Brilliant pass, man.
I said that. But the real question that I have here, I just literally just wanted to play that, is can you understand, as somebody who was a Republican strategist, what is the strategy behind killing children in your own state and letting children die of COVID? I can't figure it out.
I think we call that clip from Ted Cruz projection, Joy. I'm not a therapist. That's my psychological assessment of it. I think the strategy, as macabre as this sounds, is project strength at all costs.
Couldn't cross it to nobody.
And that's what it comes down to. It doesn't come down to empty policy. They're not counting the numbers of how many people are dead or alive. They're not concerned about the well-being of their own citizens. It's how can I project that I'm against Joy Reid, that I'm against Dr. Fauci, that I'm against the elites, that I'm against the people on the coast and the brown folks and the black folks, right? Like that's it. That's all this is about. And so they're doing that at the expense of their own citizens. And here's the other thing, Joy, they know better. You know, on that same network on Fox, Ben Domenech, who runs the Federalist, you know, is guest hosting a show. He wrote in 2015 attacking the left over opposing vaccine mandates in schools. He said this is common sense. This is quackery to oppose this, and we've had vaccine mandates for ages in this country, and it's totally in line with liberty. He wrote that in 2015. Now his own website and that own primetime on Fox is now saying that this is some affront to our freedoms. They know that that's not true. They know that the vaccine saved lives. They're just doing this because they see the short-term political calculation.
I mean, I've been looking just on social media, just all of the, you know, radio hosts and, you know, sort of religious leaders on the right who are owning the libs from the grave, I guess, by haunting us in our homes because they died for this belief system that they've decided to create. And so, I wonder on the other side, I tweeted this and I'll just ask you, at some point, do the vaccinated suddenly realize that we are also a group and also a majority and start acting like it? Because there's only so much compassion people are going to have for people who are dying of ignorance, essentially, and saying, I refuse to get the vaccine, I'm not going to wear a mask, and then you get COVID. Should Democrats be pushing back on this in a more overt way and saying the vaccinated need to band together and demand that we have our local governments able to protect us and protect our kids?
Well, I think that the way that happens, it starts with businesses, right? That's how we get anywhere. And you saw that United Airlines basically said that they're going to start requiring that their employees are vaccinated. I can guarantee you that Southwest Airlines and others are going to take a hit because people want to move on from this pandemic. And the only way that we go to to concerts, that we see family members, that we get our kids back in school, that we go back and hug our loved ones, is if we all get vaccinated. And so you're starting to see that with businesses, and we need a few more businesses to step up and require vaccination. And I think that that's the only way that happens.
Well, you know, and Tim, it brings me back again to these old orthodoxies that I used to think Republicans believed in, you know, like they were pro-business. You're seeing in Florida, the governor there demand that these private businesses, cruise ships, not allowed to make their own decisions about what they do to protect they don't want even businesses to be able to protect their customers and their workers. Is the new orthodoxy that the big government should tell businesses what to do?
Yeah, they are throwing those old orthodoxies out the window because that's what their new Donald Trump demands, Troy. And I think that the Democrats need to go on offense.
How's the word?
It's always the right pushing culture wars. This is a winning culture war issue for the left. There is, you know, even about 40% of the Republican base has gotten vaccinated or wants to get vaccinated. So you have all the Democrats almost, most of the independents, almost half the Republicans who want vaccine mandates, who want, you know, what Sochi just called for businesses to do. The Democrats need to be a little bit more on the cutting edge of this and turning the remaining...
Alright, let's pause for the cause. I'll be right back.